All right, hey, how you doing, Paul?
Good,
Glad.
Sean.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. You too. Glad to see you. So I saw the TRREB numbers came out. The third best year in Toronto real estate history. What does that say for 2021 when the economy should be recovering? Like, shouldn't this have been a down year?
I mean, by all accounts, the way it started, it looked that way, but I think we bounced back strong. And I think real estate has been the focus for 2020, right?
Yeah.
With everything else closing down, whether it's trips, vacations, retail, all that closed down, people really turned their attention to real estate. And it showed by the end of the year, we had kind of fully recovered and fully bounced back from what was really a complete shutdown in early parts of last year.
Yeah, I think people are just looking at their four walls and going, I don't really want to live here anymore. They're going
Yeah,
outside the city or they're upgrading their condo. Like, that's what I'm seeing.
it's definitely on the forefront of everyone's mind.
Now, I don't want to ask you too many questions because I know that you've got some pretty slick slides for us to look at, as always. Do you want to bring those up and we'll just go through them?
Okay, so I'm going to go through it kind of quickly, just touch a point. I mean, a lot of this stuff we've covered many times, but this is kind of the summary for the year. With, again, leading indicators being showings, new listings, and offers. New showings, again, December came down, but as a whole, and for typical Decembers, was still very busy. Wasn't far off peak levels of the fall here. So even though we dipped a little bit in towards the end of the year, this is still well above where we typically are this time of year. New listings, on the other hand, did nosedive, and that's typical for December as people get ready for the holidays, and especially with the stricter lockdowns in December, it wasn't surprising that people just held off listing their property.
You kind of going back to just
Yeah,
go back to that last one, like going back to
yeah,
closer to the levels of when the pandemic started, right? Like
yeah,
everybody took their house off the market and there was nothing out there. And we're kind of at that
yeah.
level in December as well.
Yeah, I mean, not uncommon though. As you look even at January here, the start of the year, it's about lower than that. And this was at the start of the year, there was no pandemic here. It just December, January new listings are always a low.
That's where it should be, right?
Yeah, so it's a seasonal low. Um, and I think the new listings, with everything happening just seasonally and COVID related, just helped it. New listings just plummet off the market.
Mm-hmm.
Offers though, were still quite active. So again, not where they were peak time fall, but still relatively high. That means, and this I use these as leading indicators because this means that buyers were out making offers during December. Right? Lagging indicators are the sales, average price, and inventory. And if you look at those, sales were at 7,180, which I remember just kind of keeping my buyers posted on what was happening during December. And really what I was relating to them is usually have 3,000 to 4,000 sales for the month of December, and we had hit that halfway through. So
Wow.
it was already looking like a busy December. People were quite active looking. Any listings that I had were basically sold in December because as new listings had basically stopped, whatever was out there, buyers were grabbing.
So it's like none of the buyers got the memo that the real estate market was going to be on pause. All the sellers like, we're not going to sell our house over, December, but all the buyers just came out in droves anyway.
Anyways, yeah, they were Christmas shopping for housing. Average price continues to stay high into the 930s, and you can see that blue line just track right across. It's been, no seasonal adjustment, just keep tracking along.
Yeah, I bet you that's going to be high too, based for January. Seems like prices keep going up. When do you like, based on this? I know this is year by year, but when do we start cresting over a million? Would you say, like, is that a 2021 thing for the average sell price, or do you think that it doesn't go up that fast?
Say we may hit $1 million average for 1 month, but for the year of 2021, as we look as a whole, it won't hit that.
Why would you say that?
Because we have seasonal highs and lows. We're starting December, January will probably be in the low 900s. Maybe by the springtime, we might peak close to a million or over a million. And then we'll have to hit the fall and December. Average price is very much seasonal, the same way sales are.
Okay.
Right. I have actually slide a few slides down that show the annual average price. It kind of breaks down where we're sitting and where we've grown.
Okay.
Here's the active inventory. Again, we had started to catch up in the fall market to where active inventory usually is, and then again with new listings kind of disappearing off the market.
These are number of houses that are on, or number of listings that are available on the market. Kind of through the end of the summer through the fall, we were on the 10-year average, but prior to that, there's this big gap that in terms of active listings that just never made it to the market in 2020.
I mean, this active inventory is less of a ratio of new listings to sales and more of just what's sitting there, and that more help indicates whether you're a seller's or buyer market. How many properties are actually out there when you're looking? And so it's a fluctuating number that fluctuates with the season, and not necessarily a whole for the year, but you can just see where usually we have lots of active inventory in the fall. It wasn't there, or sorry, in the springtime. In the fall, it did come back, but then quickly disappeared again come December. It just means that the new listings that were coming out, people who were listing their property wasn't keeping up with the demand that was there. Yeah, summary overview. Again, so going back into that, how the number of sales were high and new listings were low, you can see the sales ratio really push into the seller's market. Same with inventory as it was coming down and sales stayed high, pushing well into the seller's market for December. And it felt hot, like it felt active, it felt busy, and it was very competitive.
So what you're saying is we're in a seller's market.
Yeah.
Pretty clearly, right?
Pretty clearly, and it's
and
no doubt about it. I mean, like condos, even though condos had come down over the fall and they were in a little bit more of a buyer's market, even the smaller units started to move quite a bit with the lower interest rates introduced in December. We had a lot of kind of investors come back to the market and take advantage of the 10% price drop that had happened into the condos. So even that heated up.
Yeah, there was a deal, and the savvy investors got on and purchased those properties when it was the Black Friday of condo sales.
Yeah, essentially, and knowing that interest rates will probably never be this low again.
Maybe not. Maybe for the next year, though.
I don't know. Do you think we'll hit that 0.99 rate again?
It's still technically available. I think this is one of those things that will kind of disappear pretty quickly, but it's trending downwards. With the bad job reports that we just had, like if we get another one of those and any other, like the dollar is much too high for our exporters. So some of the things in the economy aren't going as well for us as what they should be. So I can see fixed rates coming down a little bit more. That 0.99 was a variable rate. So it's pretty unlikely that we're going to hit that with any sort of sustainability, but low interest rates are here to stay.
So here's the sales to date. Remember we were talking about, how did we pan out for the year? And you can see the dip. Well, we came back stronger and surpassed our 10-year average. And I wanted to see how this related to the market as a whole through, over the years. And I kind of came up with this chart to help highlight. So this is the number of sales in the GTA on an annual basis. So you can see here, we typically float around the $86,000 to $90,000, like 90,000 sales in the GTA mark. We obviously 2015, 2016 hit this extreme high of going over 100,000 sales in the GTA. 2017, 2018 came back low, and now we're back to that 95,000 range. So, I mean, typically kind of in line with where we were going in the GTA for sales, except for with that peak in 2015, 2016.
Yeah, that's a big trough back in 2018, but I guess 2020 is about average, right?
Yeah, or just slightly above it, kind of hitting that 95.
Yeah, third best year in history, it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, every year we kind of typically go up. I mean, if I extend this chart back, as more condos get produced, we have more people moving into the core, we have more and more sales. So every year we're trending upwards. This 92 to 100 to 113 jump was quite significant during that period. And then we came back 2018, 2019 were slower, and now we're picking back up. And I would expect for 2021 to be on par with that 95 range.
Do you think we could crest up to the 100,000? Like that seems to me like that's within reach considering how things are going, but we need supply. Is that kind of the missing ingredient here?
Yeah, overall, I mean, with these, again, going into, they're announcing stricter conditions coming up, and we'll see how that plays in. But I think once vaccines start getting introduced, once things start loosening up around here, I have a feeling a lot of listings will start flooding the market as people feel more comfortable listing their house.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the average sale price I was talking about. You can see, rather than looking at it on a month to month basis, here's on the annual basis. You can see steady growth. 2017, 2016 highs came down, and we're back up here in 2020, hitting the record high for. So when you ask me, do I think we could break a million? I don't know if for the year we'll break a million. You know, yeah, this had an over 100,000 jump. Could 2021 have 100,000 jump? I feel like it would probably be slightly less and more typical with the 50 to 75,000 range.
It's a big psychological number. I know a lot of people want to not purchase over a million. Like they just feel like, wow, $1 million house. You know, when you're younger, you think, man, if I ever lived in $1 million house, that would be like this huge mansion and, you know, with the wings and a butler and all those things. But it's, you know, $1 million house being an average GTA house doesn't quite fit that description.
Yeah. And I mean, when you hit $1 million, you require 20% down. So it also
That's right.
requires quite a bit more equity. So there is a group that will not be at the 20% mark and can't jump it. So I think it'll be a little bit before we can, as a whole in the GTA, jump that $100 million threshold.
Mm-hmm.
I kept it short and sweet, just as a summary for end of year.
Nice.
But I
That
see
was really
basically,
helpful.
yeah. As a whole, I mean, I remember when we first started doing this at the start of COVID, talking about what's happening in the market, how things were changing on a week-to-week basis. To end up here by the end of the year just was shocking.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I never expected that in April when we were wondering when the market was going to come back, what that's going to look like, to have such a swift recovery in the housing market. Now that's in contrast to a lot of the rest of the economy that's maybe still lagging behind. You know, real estate was one of those industries that didn't really get fully locked down. You can still buy a house now, might be different than how you would have bought it last year at this time, but you can still make that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I mean,
well, that was great, Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm looking forward to, we'll do this again in a couple of weeks then.
Yeah, I think we were talking about doing the 2021 predictions. So I think that's going to be, on a lot of people's mind what the year holds for us. And so I'm looking forward to doing that with you.
Yeah, well, let's see how ours, how they look. We're looking forward to that one. I'll talk to you soon, Paul.
Talk soon.